So, first off, it's a pleasure to be interviewing you today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm very glad to be getting interviewed by Fandom. It's a great place. So I'm super excited.
And I'm excited to be doing the interview.
We have to
So,
control our excitement, Elliot. Otherwise, we're never going to get anything done.
right. We got to rein it in. We got to rein
Got
it
to
in.
rein in. Got to rein in. Yeah.
So the first question I have for you is a two-part question.
Okay.
Have you always been a Star Wars fan, even before working on The Mandalorian? And what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Okay. Wow. The controversy begins. Elliot, you've just gone straight for the jugular. Wow. Okay. The answer is yes. Emphatically yes. And I'll tell you my introduction into Star Wars. I have an older brother called Fotis. He's 8.5 years older than I am. And he was, I'd say, 7 when the first movie came out, and went to the movie theater and watched it. And so the toys were bought. I was born, 8 years later. And so by the time I turned up, it was dominant as my DNA. The toys were around. We had an Ewok village, we had an AT-AT, we had the Millennium Falcon with a handle underneath it, we had the toys. It was deeply formative. So I and we had, in those days it was VHS. So, we had Star Wars, A New Hope on constant replay in the house. So I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you was just incredible. So I think if I had to answer the second question in terms of historically, I'd say that A New Hope formed me. So part of my makeup is A New Hope. Now, as an adult, having watched them all, as a fan, of course, and watching them all, I'm a grown man, and I would say that The Empire Strikes Back, as a movie of just dramatic depth and complexity and pain and just awesomeness, would be my adult choice. But I can't deny the DNA version of that truth. So within that context lies the truth.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way. I think
Phew.
objectively, Empire is the best, but I grew up during the prequel era, so I even though it's not the greatest of the prequels, I have a fondness for Phantom Menace.
But you know what? Because of Ewan McGregor was talking about this, and he nailed it. He said, the prequels were so many fans' childhoods, like the original trilogy were other people's childhoods, and they have a place. They represent so much to people's childhoods, and that should be honored and recognized.
Absolutely, I saw every single one of those in theaters, and I do not regret that.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So I know before we started recording, you brought up how my setup reminds you of the volume.
Yeah, I mean,
So
were you there? How did you do that effect? That's like, I've got to call John Favreau. You guys need to talk.
just a wallpaper I found uploaded as a Zoom background.
Listen, Elliot, I don't know. Maybe we can get you working on the tech side of the next season. You need to be.
I'd be honored. I'd be honored. But what's it like working in the volume? Because this technology is like completely changing the film and television industry with the way that we can shoot series and
Yeah,
films now.
I think Carl Weathers mentioned this in the gallery after season 1. I think there's a collective understanding now of what you're imagining. So for actors on a stage, traditionally, if there was green screen, blue screen, you are told this is behind you, and your version would differ to mine. And so the reactions, would all be within the context, but now there is a common visual representation. A, I think B, it allows you to not have that stress of losing the light and the timing and stressing out, I think for directors in terms of being able to explore that moment in the story without the pressure of time change and light change, and
Yeah.
which allows for better decisions. and as an actor, that there's a trickle down effect of all of that into performance, which is just so it gives you way more, security and confidence.
Very cool. I have to imagine it's like so cool to see everything in that.
It's breathtaking. I mean, you're fully aware of the fact that you are at the height of technology and film. When you step onto something that is like that for the first time, especially when you step onto it, and if there's a lot of set design going on and there's props around, and it's hard to differentiate where the floor ends and the volume begins, that is incredible.
Yeah.
And I think that's been addressed as well. So it's quite something, and it's hard to fully describe and imagine unless you see it with your own eyes, because it literally is what is captured in camera. And when you try to explain that, it's hard to join the two. It's like, well, isn't it different? Doesn't it? And it's incredible. It really is.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. So along with being part of the Star Wars universe now, you have also been in some other big franchises over your career, like James Bond. You've been in Marvel with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So are there any other big franchises out there that you would be interested in joining one day?
Yeah, certainly. I think that anything that has a franchise speaks to the fans that exist for that, that story. And so I think that with franchises, whatever they are, there is an honoring to the fans, which is common. And I think that as an actor, you hope to be involved in those. It's a responsibility. And I think that I'd never imagined I'd be in the three that you mentioned, but now that I have been, I mean, I'd go back happily to either of those. Part of me thinks that, the Marvel universe is still open, DC is still open. There's the Harry Potter universe, there's the Lord of the Rings. There's so many, and they're just so wonderful. You just hope to have that call. I'm not specifically, thinking about any of them, but I'm certainly enjoying the interactions with fans as a result of being involved in projects like that. Definitely.
Very nice. So you brought up just now, waiting for the call. What was the call like for the Mandalorian? How did you come to get involved?
Well, I was watching the first season and a massive fan, and just incredibly into it in season 1. And I got the email phone call comes in from your representation, and they say, "Oh, we've booked you, an audition." And it was at Sarah Finn's casting office, and I know her and the team there because of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and other jobs. And so I went along, and the sides, the actor you get to audition with were very vague and but militaristic, commands and movements, and so I thought, okay, they want to see some sort of person that's running around with a gun. That's all I knew. And I auditioned. A couple of weeks later, I got the phone call saying that it was mine, and I was just over the moon. I had no idea what character I was playing. I just knew then that it was the Mandalorian, of course, and it was just, how is this real life? And when I went to the fitting and they revealed that I would be playing a Mandalorian, well, I just sat down and had a really big moment to myself. I thought, how is this real life?
Yeah.
And it's sort of been that feeling ever since, really.
Very cool. Now, I have to ask, because the most recent episode is out now. People have seen it. People are talking about it online. Arguably the biggest cameos, I would say, so far in this series, in Christopher Lloyd, Jack Black, and Lizzo.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Again, I think that it was like keeping the biggest secret ever over the course of a year. and knowing what a big deal this all would be, and how excited people would be, and how, what a moment it would be, and to be involved in that, and to see the episode opening the way it did, and the fact that Bo and I have this fight bracketing these amazing cameos. I mean, if you can put yourself in my shoes, knowing that for a long time and not saying anything, even to your family, that's tough. But
Yeah.
payoff is so cool.
Yeah, and it's just amazing how they kept that a secret. I remember hearing about Christopher Lloyd showing up at some point, but
yeah, that was leaked. I think that was leaked.
Jack Black and Lizzo was a complete surprise.
How did you feel about that? Were you excited? Were you going, what's happening? How were you feeling about it?
Well, when you first see them, and I heard Jack Black's voice, I was like, wait a second, is that really? and then it zooms in closer. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Jack Black and Lizzo right there.
That's so good. I thought they were wonderful. I thought they did a great job. I love the world they built. I love the noir, investigative, spin on the episode. I thought it was just so lush and just excellent. I loved it.
So did you get to chat and interact with all of them on set?
Oh, I'm having tea with Lizzo and Jack Black every day now. It's just, it's a whole thing. No, I saw them, but in passing, because you're on different sets. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't, I knew they were there. I knew immediately that it was going to be a secret I'd have to sit on for a year, which was just great. So that's as deep as that interaction went. Yeah.
And I also have to ask about working with Bryce Dallas Howard as a director. What's her process like, and what's it like working with her as a director?
It's the second time, and I'm effusive about her. I talk about this in other interviews in terms of her. You are so lucky as an actor to work with somebody that has worked with some of the world's greatest directors herself. And her approach has accumulated knowledge from these directors and putting them to practice. So once you understand that you're working for someone who respects the craft as knowledgeably as she does, you're able to, hopefully for everybody, I certainly was able to completely let go with ultimate trust. And as a performer, you just want to give her the range. And what she asks of you, she is very generous in coming up with ideas for you to get there with various techniques. And she shares that with everybody, alongside some of the coolest insider film history knowledge and experience, like how she grew up, how she knows George Lucas, her time meeting all these people, the people that, as fans and as people that are, huge movie buffs, we just sit there going, can you just carry on telling us these stories? We don't have to film. We should just listen to you. But she's a lot of fun. She's incredibly knowledgeable. She's excellent, obviously, but we laugh a lot with her too. So yeah. Her and I especially just laugh a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Are there some good outtakes?
Definitely. She must have the best outtakes in, wherever they are. If you ever get a chance to interview her, or if you have, find out where they are, because we should all see them. There's some funny ones.
Yeah, I have to imagine that as an actor herself, she would be a good actor's director.
Oh my God, absolutely. She has one particular technique which just for me really resonated in terms of the way that she, I guess, she has a note, she gives you an idea, you play it, and then she has one which she's like, let's try and see if you can do that, silently, or is there a version of that you'd like to try without words? We explore. It's fun, and as an actor, once you're comfortable on set, you really want the director to come with ideas and a range for you to play with. And once you feel safe, all you want to do is feel safe as an actor. You want to be in an environment where you're free to completely let go. And, she creates that. So that's super cool.
Give her a Star Wars movie.
I mean, I can't. I'll try.
That was to like all of Lucasfilm.
I
It's
know,
a Star Wars movie.
I know, I know. Your lips to God's ears, you know. So it's
I think she would nail it.
yeah, I'd agree. I think she's, whatever she does is excellent. So I'd have to agree with you there.
So the last thing that I have just to kind of like wrap everything up is I'm just curious, what are some of your favorite movies and TV shows that you've been watching this past year?
That's a great question. We watched so much, the whole spectrum really. I mean, The Last of Us, I thoroughly loved. I was playing the game for years, and my fiance would watch me play that game, and she was like, maybe you should play that game again, like we should find out what is that character. And I said, the stereotype of this exchange is quite different. So I thoroughly enjoy that. I thought that was handled excellently and originally, and just beautifully. I thought that was such great television. I also loved Andor. I enjoyed Andor a lot. What else were we watching? I also spend some time watching older films too. I'm a bit of a geek like that. I love, going back and watching Antonioni films, or, La Samurai with Alain Delon, movies like that, or The Passenger. There's some older films that I watch, so I mix it up. The new films that we went to see, I've been on a bit of a kind of horror kick.
Yeah,
We've gone and seen quite a few horrors. We went to see Smile, went to see Megan, which I thought was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, the best stuff, I think that covers it. Yeah.
very cool. Well, that's all I have. It was a pleasure getting to interview you today.
Oh, it was so cool, Elliot. Thank you. Great questions, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I feel like I'm slowly getting better each interview I get under my belt.
Well, how many have you been doing so far?
I've I've really only done like I want to say like maybe somewhere between like 6 and 10. I haven't really done a whole lot. I'm just slowly starting to do more of them as the
Well, you're
opportunity.
so natural, man. So, crack on. Good work,
Thank you.
really, really cool. Yeah, really nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well.
Yeah. Hope to speak again.
Yeah, that would be great.
All
Have
right.
a good one.
You too. Bye.